Okay, so Morgan and I are together here on the hours before the actual time of the solstice, and we've been trying to go live on various platforms, and that hasn't worked out for us today. So we thought we would record our conversation and put it up as soon as we can afterwards, just because we wanted to talk about what we're experiencing, and maybe some of the things we talk about could be useful. So here we are. Apparently Mercury is retrograde, and this is one of the things that happens in Mercury retrograde. So,
Doesn't it?
and
Yeah.
and we have a little bit of tech knowledge that we need to brush up on. Huh? We're always aware of that for ourselves. So yeah, that's our homework. How you doing?
Really good. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't slept for the past 2 nights. I mean, I have slept obviously, but only sort of 3 hours or something, just because the energy has been really strong, really lovely. But it's just like, oh, so I'm lying in bed and I'm not getting, it's like not getting any sleep. And then the best thing for me to do normally if I can't get to sleep, I literally invite the angels of sleep to help, and normally I'm asleep within minutes if I do that. That hasn't happened. That hasn't worked at all. So I just sit up in bed and meditate, and that's lovely. And that normally calms everything down in a sense of meditation, and then I can get to sleep. But when I woke up at 8:30 this morning, I think I'd had 3 or 4 hours sleep, and I really didn't want to didn't want to get out of bed. But I had to quickly write a newsletter and meet you. So here we are. But yeah, I'm enjoying the energy. It always feels very, just very buoyant, as if there's literally a lot of energy, a lot of light in the atmosphere, and everything just gets buoyed up and carried along. It's sort of smoothed out in a sense for me, and so I sort of love this feeling. And I always used to be aware of it, but when I was drinking and drugging, a long time ago, I would use it to carry me through that into that sort of very expansive phase. And now it's a much quieter, it's still very expansive, but very, very centering at the same time. Although I can see how it would be easy to lose yourself in these energies, because they do carry you out in a sense.
Yeah, I like that. Yes, agreed. Totally. Um, and then I'm watching others. It's like watching them. They're inside of a spin cycle or in a washing machine or something. It's really interesting. Some of us are like I've got no problem sleeping at all, and you say you've got problems sleeping. But I am experiencing that same thing. It's just really floaty and expansive and pleasant,
Yeah.
nice, peaceful. Yeah.
I had some interesting stuff last night. I've just literally sent a newsletter out, and I when I sat up, and it was about 3 o'clock, when I thought, okay, I'm not going to get to sleep. I'll sit up and meditate. And as soon as I did, I had this phrase. I heard this phrase saying, "Orient yourself towards the sun." So I sort of, from my mind, I look for the sun in a sense. I just sort of reach out for the sun, and then I feel this lovely, lovely stream of light. And I think, we could view the sun as our collective higher self in a sense. It's the center of
Mm.
our solar system around which we revolve. And I mean, as this energy was streaming in, I could really feel how massively compacted and compressed we have been for thousands and thousands of years. And all of this incoming light and data and all of the work we are doing is a huge, huge process of decompression, opening us up and opening us up and opening us up. And I keep being told, you're just at the start of this process. You're just at the start of this decompression. And you have no idea where it's going to take you, but it's going to be magnificent. And it's already feeling a bit like that. It's already feeling amazing. And
Yeah.
like when I do energy work with people, you can really see the light coming in and just opening things up. And so a lot has happened, heart and throat. But last night, as I was sitting in bed with these streams of energy coming in, I really felt it was something I'd not experienced before, literally light coming into the crown. And it just showed me like hundreds of passageways and channels that have yet to be activated, that are just starting to open up, and this union between the crown and the third eye that is really going to literally raise the roof in a sense, you know, and it's like, oh my God, this is so amazing.
Mhm.
And so I live on the coast here, and I often am walking by cliffs that where you see layer upon layer upon layer upon layer upon layer of time, millions of years of strata lay, and that always fascinates me because I know that's what we are in a sense. We are those layers and layers and layers of time, and I think we're really unearthing, you know, extraordinary deep levels of ourself now, you know, going through all of the compression and finding the gold that is underneath waiting to be discovered in a sense. And it's I love it. I love it. And I think these solstice and equinox energies are really high because they dig very deep, you know, they push very deep into the collective. And as I was, sorry, I'm talking an awful lot here and I'm aware you've hardly said anything. I
It's
was,
fine, Dave.
you know, our ancestors would build temples that would receive the light of the solstice, sunrise or sunset deep into the temple, and the light would hit specific zones on those specific dates and illuminate the temple from the inside out, sort of thing. And it's like, that's what we are. We are the temple, and we are meant to receive the light of these suns deep into ourselves to be activated. And you know, that light is the masculine principle coming deep into the earth, into the womb of the earth. I mean, it's so extraordinarily beautifully symbolic, and we are that living symbol in flesh. So
Yeah.
and then the other thing that was shown to me last night as I was sitting in bed is that um these streams of high frequency light coming in activate and open up our deep encoding, but they carry that coding through us into the earth. So they imprint our coding into the matter of the earth. And it's a way of, as a collective, it's a way of, it's a manifestation code in a sense, because as those codes imprint into the earth, the light carries them through and activates the codes, imprints them deep into the earth. But it's the coding of exactly what it is we need for the next phase of our journey. And we can make that about ourselves personally. I want, you know, the job, the house, the car, the boy, all of that. Or we can just go with the bigger picture of what, you know, align ourselves with our soul's intent and the collective's intent for the highest activation of humanity that is possible at these times. And there's nothing wrong with either, you know. It's not that there's a judgment there, but I just saw this beautiful imprinting of the deepest needs of humanity at this time, and it orients us for the next 3 months, I think, until the equinox, and then it happens again and again and again. So each time it's like a course correction in a sense. The light of the sun carries through us and imprints into the earth, into matter, where everything we receive emanates from. It comes from the earth, all of the physical stuff. And it's like, if we align with that process, we really are in the flow, because that's an extraordinary flow of light flowing through us. And again, it's all about the marriage of heaven and earth. Heaven and earth. There is this fusion that happens in us, of this light of the sun And it was just as I was writing about it this morning, I was getting so excited because I thought, oh, this is what we are. This is where we are, and this is what we are, and it's so extraordinarily beautiful, I think. Anyway, so apart from our technological difficulties, I'm having a lovely time. so, so
That was so exciting listening to that, because there's so many similarities about what I've experienced, what we experienced the group last night, a session I did a few days ago. In the session I did a few days ago, there was this, I don't even know how to explain it. It felt like it was rubber. It was at my higher heart, and it was being stretched out, but it also felt like it was being stretched in. And then a massive big bubble in my throat occurred. And then I saw all these animals, eyes, eyes, eyes everywhere. And I understood this is a massive higher heart, throat, third eye activation. Last night in the circle, we didn't know what to do. So we said, let's just have some fun. Let's go and see if we're allowed to join, like a council, a cosmic council meeting.
I saw your little write-up of that, and I was intrigued, very intrigued.
Yeah. So we just did that because no one had any problems this week. It was really good. So when there's no problems, we just do fun stuff. But we went up. We went up through the pillar of light and asked to be taken to a cosmic council. I invited everyone to share, to talk, like we do sometimes. If it's a bit smaller group and there's space for it, all of us remain silent. Most of us, or quite a few, and they mentioned at the end, had this horrendous pain at where the skull joins the spine, including me. I had it all day yesterday, still in the group, and I've had it again today. But the most exciting thing for me is I kept coming out, writing notes as I was coming out. Oh my God, I'm going. But Gail was the first person that came out and shared, and she said word for word what I'd written down. It was so exciting. So what I was shown last night, we went up to the Cosmic Council. None of us could get into it, but all of us could see it. And when everyone was talking, the stories were almost identical. It was phenomenal. I wrote down, I had all this really weird pressure across the bridge of my nose, and I felt that. And then they said, this is bridging. You're being recalibrated, recoded, upgraded. And we're preparing you to get ready, the human physical vessel to get ready for expanded connection to cosmic intelligence. We all experienced almost the exact identical thing. It was phenomenal. But this bridging that happened, connecting the human form to cosmic intelligence. And I love what you say about, it comes through us and it goes down into Earth. And as you were talking, it was, we are Earth. We are Earth. These physical bodies are Earth itself, aren't they?
Yeah.
And then, whatever's going on here, the recalibration and upgrades and everything is the cosmic connection. So this stuff that you've been talking about for weeks, this merging of the Earth and the man, is actually happening. But just listening to you, it's like you weren't able to make it last night. You weren't there, and yet that same information is really pouring through.
And that was weird because I've been attending your Wednesday morning. For me, it's a Wednesday morning group, and I love that Wednesday morning group. And I've been attending very consistently since you started that. Yesterday morning, it wasn't on my radar at all. It didn't even occur to me that it was Wednesday and I should be, and I had an appointment, a 10 o'clock appointment, which is the time of the group, for a physiotherapy session for my hip, which was a really good session for me to go to. But normally I book my place in the Wednesday group on the Tuesday night. And so it's done. Not one bit of me was thinking, oh, it's Morgan's group. So obviously I wasn't meant to be there at some level, because I would have written to you, say, look, I'm really sorry, I can't make it, or whatever. None of that happened. It just wasn't on my radar. And I thought, oh, then afterwards, when I saw your little post, it was like, oh, I should have been there. That was really strange. But maybe not. This was my way of accessing a similar sort of information. But the idea of going to one of those council meetings that people often write about is like, oh yeah, I should try that sometime.
we felt like we were being upgraded and prepared and recalibrated. So next time we ask, we might be ready to go in. We could all see it. Like I felt myself floating around this and like getting a close up look at some of the beings there, but not being able to stay there. So it felt like a preparation. Felt like really strong preparation. It was really exciting. So we'll go there again next Wednesday if none of us have any issues or problems.
I was in the next week because I'm traveling a lot next week, and it's a tricky one for me next week. But we'll see, we'll see. And so you're doing something. Are you doing something at the time of the solstice, you and Todd, or?
No, no. Tomorrow morning, I think it'll be about 6 hours beforehand. It just sort of flew in. He got it one day. The next day I got it as well. I'm like, oh, okay, there's not much notice. It's just, we'll just pop on and see what happens. It's nothing really planned. I'll probably find out tonight while I'm sleeping what we're doing. But if
Yeah.
nothing else happens, we might do this upgrade, this recalibration and the activation of the higher heart, throat, and third eye areas.
And that's
Yeah,
a
it's been.
phenomenal piece of energy work, isn't it? That's really, really beautiful because I've been seeing it in individual session. The energy's coming in, and it's like, oh, oh my God, it's so extraordinary. The other week, I was working with somebody last week. I mean, it seems like eons ago last week, doesn't it? But just a few days ago, I was working with
Mhm.
somebody who has done a lot of work. She's what you would call quite advanced. And she works in this field and whatever. And we were doing some energy work, and we ended up out at that place where the energy field of the planet meets the cosmos. So we are out at the edge, and I always know when I'm out there that this is a collective piece of energy work. And there were these huge openings around her hearts of these big. It was like I couldn't work out what I was seeing, but they were like big buffer zones, and she was feeling all of this grief, and I was recognizing as I was watching this that these were the what were they? There was a term for them, the shields of forgetting that were put in place thousands and thousands of years ago in order for us to go on the journey of density, and to have the experience of separation, because it would have been has been so profoundly painful to knowingly separate from all that we were. And there was this extraordinary grace that allowed these shields of forgetting to be put in place to help numb the separation, in effect, around the heart,
Yeah.
around the head. And were these were dissolving. And I knew, because it was taking place at that point between or where the planet's atmosphere, the planet's energy field meets the cosmos, that this is a collective. It's happening in the planet's field, so it's happening collectively. It's happening for all of us. That was really lovely. And then I was walking the dog afterwards, thinking, yeah, maybe I'm just making this stuff up. Maybe this is just too far out. And as
I
I
know.
said that to myself, this hawk, this beautiful kestrel, flew across the field and landed in a tree. And I was stunned by how beautiful its flight was, and I just stood there sort of, oh my God, isn't that gorgeous? And as I watched that, I felt literally these wings of Horus that were wrapped around my brain just open up like that. And it took 2 seconds, and it was so subtle, but it was so beautiful. And I knew that that was like a confirmation that, yeah, these all of these things that close. And I just had that experience of my head being closed like that by these wings that were wrapped around, and they were just opening. I mean, it was so beautiful, and so stunning and so quiet, just so subtle. But it was just like, yeah, it's happening, it's real. And
Yeah.
it was such a lovely, lovely little piece of my puzzle that helps. Because does that doubt still come up for you?
Oh my goodness. Yes, I'm so glad you said that. But when you said, I'm like, I've been having that as well the last probably 2 or 3 weeks. The amount of time I've said, no, this seems way too far fetched, even for me. this seems way too far-fetched. I don't know what to think about this. And Todd just laughs at me. But yeah, there's been a lot of that. There really has. I feel like we're on the verge of, and, I want to say this too. We are on the verge of receiving all this new code or whatever. It might not seem as big as it actually is, because the humans are going to have to practice in the coming weeks and months of, well, how does all this work now? We're going to know that we're different. And we already know, if you fall down a pothole into 3D, it doesn't take you long to realize that, you've lost that connection.
Yeah.
But yeah, it feels extraordinary. But yes, I'm saying a lot. No, this is way too far-fetched. This is too much for my head to even comprehend at the moment.
And I think that's part of that thing of, I keep being told, you're only just at the beginning. And so our capacity to accept what currently is really far-fetched, it just gets stretched all the time, doesn't it? And you start to see more and more, more of the bigger picture. And I'm aware, God, what I'm seeing is a tiny, tiny, tiny fragment of what is actually there to be seen. And that too is really,
They
really exciting.
really making you feel like you know nothing. Like every day, like sometimes I write posts regularly or whatever, but now I'm going, I don't even want to write this. Like it's just happened and it's exciting, but I'm already forgetting about it, in preparation for the next. I really feel like I'm knowing less and less and less about anything every day.
Yeah. And maybe that's part of the thing. Like the need to hold on to what I've experienced it's like, because it's all happened. Like I can't remember what happened a few days ago unless I've written it down and really focused on it, but it just goes so quickly. And I think we're probably meant to be fairly empty of all of that stuff, just because if we're holding on to it all, it clutters up the field, doesn't it? And maybe it might stop the next wave of stuff arriving. So it just seems like quite a seamless process of expansion and integration, expansion and integration, expansion, integration, understanding lands and is another field of expansion in itself, and and it all integrates.
And just as you're getting it, it disappears and you can barely remember it. It's
Yeah,
really bizarre,
yeah,
really bizarre. I'm going to tell you about this weird vision I had the other day that I've said, this is too much for me. I can't even fathom this. But in a session with Todd, I was shown, and it was like a full-on vision, like pods. And I was shown how humans are going to be able to go to areas and just go in these little pods or become part of a pod and think about, see, I feel silly even talking about this. Think about where they're going to be, and they will be transported there. And I'm like, oh, this is, and I thought, oh, I'm just imagining things. But then the voices came in and explained, when we hit a certain frequency, we're going to have access to all of that other dimensional stuff that we have had access to, but we haven't known how to. So, it'll be a new way to travel. But, they were saying to me, it's about getting your frequency high. Really look at what you're bringing in your body, what you're doing for yourself, how you're thinking, what you're eating, what you're drinking. Like our job at the moment is to get our frequency as high as possible and practice holding that for as long as we can during the day. And these things can become more and more available. I saw this vision of, being, God, it was almost like wrapped in a bubble. And then next thing I land in, where would I land? I land somewhere else. It was so far fetched. It's making me almost feel like not to trust my own intuition, because so many weird things are happening. I don't even know what's real and what's not real anymore.
but do you think, because you went through a phase quite recently of really working on faith, and do you
Yeah.
think that work on expanding your capacity to be in faith and trust, I guess, trust and faith, that hand in hand, I think, do you think that allows more of this bigger picture stuff to land?
Absolutely, I do, because I'm actually specifically using that frequency with sexual energy. And God, I can't think of the third one at the moment. And when I use that, like in a meditation, and concentrate on that, within days, I'm actually getting these things flowing through into my reality. So faith is huge. activating your sexual energy. I'm not talking about playing with yourself. I'm talking about igniting it all up
So
and
can you
allowing to meet
so can you
our own.
talk to us about how you might do that? How you would ignite your own sexual energy without that being a sexual act then? How do you go about that?
Um, gosh, how do you go about? I don't know. I know how I do it, but I can't talk about that. Um, like, and I think if you're in a relationship with somebody, like that's just a regular, normal thing to do. But instead of taking that energy to the person saying, like, let's do Herioscamos or have sex or something, you're actually, okay, it's ignited. I'm bringing it up and I'm going to allow that to merge and marry with faith. I do know how to do it. I can taught people how to do it in a meditation. I just don't know how I do it myself, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I sometimes, but it's really useful to think about that because you're going to be teaching this, aren't you? You're going to be leading groups around this. So
Yeah, I know.
it's just,
Yeah, I know. But it's when you think you ask me how do I do it, I'm like, oh, well, it just happens automatically. But if I lead groups into it, I'll just invite your feminine energy, your essence to come before you. Invite your masculine essence, masculine principle. Invite your own sacred sexual power to come before you, or to be ignited in your body. It's not actually that hard.
it's not. I
And
think
yet I don't know how.
we I think we probably make it seem hard, or because.
Yeah, trying to put words to it. Yeah.
And for you, does the energy of the earth come into that?
No, I loved listening to you about the earth because I've never gone there. And every time you speak about it, I thought I must try that one time. I must try to actually connect with the earth. But I think for me too, I think I am part of the earth. All this flesh and everything is made from the
Is
earth. I am
it is
already
the
a
earth? Yeah,
part of the
it is the
earth.
earth. Often I find if I've deeply connected to the earth, there is a rising column of energy that stimulates my sexual energy, but not in a way where it's like, oh, I need to go and have sex. It's just
Right.
it just opens things up, and I'm having a lot of really lovely opening through the sacrum, that lovely triangular shaped bone at the base of the spine, and that
Yep.
has always seemed like a time locked, a beautiful, beautiful time locked space that click, click, click. And it's what, you see it in a science fiction film with click, 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 and the combination clicks into place and something else opens up. And I think the sacrum is one of those places where we are time locked and encoded, and we sort of all do it together in a sense. There's a collective patterning that, and things click into place, and there's this mass opening. But it's very much, yeah, for me, it very much relates to the earth.
Yeah, okay. So I love how you do that because, you often talk about merging directly with the earth and you're using that as a symbolic replacement. And there is no replacement. It's all the same stuff. So I don't mean to, but you're doing that with the earth where I might do that with another person or whatever. It's the same thing, really, isn't it? But I mean, if you sat there and just concentrated and invited your own sacred sexual energy to ignite up, and the minute that you've connected with it, then
It's
you
there.
invite yourself to connect that, to raise it, not send it out like we've used to, through sex, but to raise it up through the
The
heart
level.
chakra and
Yeah,
faith. The power of that is incredible. And so then once you've ignited that, then you just sit there and hold that vision and then the thought of the thing that you would like to create for yourself.
that's stunning, isn't it? That's really, really stunning. That.
Yeah.
I do wish we were. I miss our life because I can feel the difference with us just chatting as a recording and that it's a live event. And it's like, oh, I wonder why this has happened today. Um, yeah. Well, it will go. It will be available. But I think that's amazing, and it really puts me in touch with what I was experiencing last night, with these streams of light coming in. And it's almost like the light shining through the codes that we have and just imprinting them into the earth as a manifestation of humanity's next phase. I love that, but I think I'm going to try what you do then in that way. Where have you gone now? I'm going to try that for
Last
personal
night,
stuff.
specifically for a diagram, because you explained something that I saw last night, and I know that I drew it in here. Well, it's going to be very similar because it certainly sounds similar.
I can't.
Uh,
It's a bit too bright. Oh, there we go. Yeah, that looks. And so
can you
that's.
see
Oh my God, that's it. There's this
all of
gorgeous.
these orange streams coming down like towards Earth, and then these little balls on the end were like shining lights of dots. It was, and when you were talking about before, I'm like, I think I saw that last night too.
And have you seen that image? It's a beautiful, beautiful image that always moves me when I see it. And it's an Egyptian image of Akhenaten and his wife Nefertiti with one of their children, maybe Tutankhamun. And there are streams. There's the sun up here with streams of light, just looking like your picture. And on the end of these light rays, there's the Ankh. You know, the image of the Ankh. On the end of each of those light rays, and I know it's sort of the same thing. It's
Yeah.
wow. I think and so this solstice, I think, and I was meditating a couple of days ago, and I was told, it doesn't matter whether people believe that this solstice is a major step forward or whether it's just a lovely time to meditate and integrate, big energy. It really doesn't matter. But it is actually quite a significant step that we're taking, I think, because we're collectively at a level where we can take this step now. And I keep seeing that this penetration, more of us are available to the incoming light. So it activates us all at a deeper level. And we really are, although we are, of course, all individuals and have our separate existences, we really are starting to operate very much as a collective in ways that we don't really understand yet. And that, I think, is really exciting. And I think next year, that collective force is really going to start to find its voice. And I think start to talk, about how we want life on this planet to go, who is actually in charge, what we want our politicians. And, it's going to start to hit that sort of level of, actually, we are a really powerful force, and we're not happy with the way things are being managed here. We're, it's that there's going to start to be rumblings of that coming, which will be really, really beautiful, I think. But a lot of awakening happening next year for people that will be maybe a little bit surprised by what they're starting to experience or understand.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it feels to me like, this is already happening, but actually, one of the messages that came through now, the only message that came through, all of us were silent, and the only message that came through, I was watching so much stuff, was the trading of power has stopped. The trading of power stops here, which, we've been doing everything we can to bring ourselves down to our individual self, learning to serve self. And we can't really serve others until we do serve ourselves. We don't know oneness until we know our own oneness. So we've really been squished and pushed down into this, I am God, and I'm here to serve me, and I'm here to love me, and all that. For me, it feels like we've just hit that point, or we've hit enough of a frequency to ignite this alignment of individuality. And when we truly get to our individuality, we automatically become one part of oneness. But we also remain they both exist at once. Just trying to think, the skull pain. I like that message. Trading power stops here. And I didn't feel like it was so much of a personal thing as much as it was a collective thing. Like the use that the governments or whoever all these people are that control us, all that's going to stop. They're not going to have as much power from all these individual parts and fractals of Earth, us, that they can just automatically be draining us for to use against us.
Yeah. And I think that's that's part of the awakening process. More and more people become aware of the fact that that is actually happening, that we are being, it's like we're being milked. Like, it's like we're herds of animals being milked regularly without
Yeah.
even knowing that that's going on. And every time I walk into a supermarket, I have this weird feeling that I'm being raped by those energies are just sort of grabbing whatever they can, in a sense, and it's a weird experience. And yeah, and as you were talking about the trading of power stops here, that was what I was seeing, was that it was the bigger off-planetary stuff almost that we're no longer available to be siphoned, to have vast amounts of energy siphoned out of our system. So it stays here. And well, as soon as we build energy in our own field, it starts the awakening process, isn't it? The more energy we're giving away and depleting ourselves, then there's less energy for our evolution. But as soon as we hold that energy, then it activates all sorts of other potentials and pathways within us, doesn't it? And so at that level, we are just one body, aren't we? Deciding now, actually, that's not happening. We're not giving away that power. We're setting up clear boundaries and clear definitions of what is possible, what's appropriate, what's allowed, and you lot can fuck off. Well, it's that sort of thing. And I think the collective of humanity is really maturing, in a sense, and starting to make those decisions. And I love that. Often on a teleconference, we invite the heart of the human collective to be a part of that, and we focus energy for the heart of the human collective. And again, it was one of those things I think, oh, this doesn't really work. This doesn't make a difference. And I would be told, this is how it works. This is how it works. This is how you make a difference.
Mm,
It's working at
that's
this
right.
level. And it's like, yeah, really, really, it is very, very beautiful.
So one of the other messages that came through last night was that what was happening was we were upgrading the networks and the systems, like our own individual parts, in order to be able to do more of this communication with each other. And that weird thing that I saw, David,
Yeah,
that's similar to what you saw, for me felt like a cosmic connection that was being activated for us to have access to as well.
beautiful. I'm going to find you that image of
Excellent. I'd love to
calm.
see it.
Um, because and I'm sure you'll recognize it as soon as you do see it. But I've been experiencing for the past couple of weeks like lots of sharp little pains in my brain, and they make you think that, oh, am I about to have a stroke? And I just
Yep.
keep being told, no,
Yeah.
these are dormant parts of the brain that are starting to open up. And I see this a lot in energy work as well, that energy is coming deep into the brain now and just literally opening up sections that we haven't really explored for a long, long time. So that too, I think, is really, is really amazing. What are the potentials that are coming online for us? I think that's really exciting, huh?
Yep. Absolutely. I mean, yeah, incredible. The whole thing's just, I mean, it was only a few weeks ago. Most days I'd wake up, I wasn't depressed or anything. I'm like, oh my God, I just want to go to bed. I know I've only just woken and wake up tomorrow. But now it's like you can hardly sleep because you know that tomorrow is going to be more expanded again. And the next day is more expanded again. And it really feels like we're on the verge of stepping into this whole new. Like I've spent the last few months, I've been very, very cosmically connected. I've done the work, of my emotions, my feelings, my shadows and stuff like that. My body got ignored. I didn't worry about my body. I mean, I walked when it was nice and stuff like that, but my body became irrelevant. And if looking back now, if I look over the last couple of months, it's like everything's been about my body, without me even thinking about it. What am I eating? How much am I walking? Everything's just dropping off me. Everything that was built up in the last couple of years is just disappearing. Don't ask me what I had for breakfast. Um, and I know where it comes from now. I'm not on a diet. I don't watch what I'm eating. I eat even when I feel like it. I really notice where I used to eat once a day. Now I'm going through periods where I'll eat 5 times a day. And I think, oh my God, I'm eating so much. I'm eating so much. But I'll open the fridge next day and there's 4 sandwiches in there where like there's 3 bites out of each sandwich. So my food intake is tiny, but I'm eating 4 or 5 times a day and I am just shrinking every day. It's like, oh my God, how is this happening? I had what did I have? 3 Scotch finger biscuits for dinner. Do you know what they are?
Health,
So
health,
I'm
health.
not, yeah. But yesterday for dinner I had 2 apricots. It's like I have what I feel like having. It's very small. Even if I think I'm starving, I'm making a sandwich. I'm lucky to get 3 or 4 bites out. I was like, no, that's enough. So look, everything around the body is really changing as well.
But I think we're in that time now where we recognize that we are meant to be sustained by light rather than by calories, huh? And there's
Yeah,
a switch over point that starts to happen. And there've always been people that have talked about breatharianism, and that's a difficult one for people to get their head around, I think, isn't it? Until you really start to feel how light impacts your system. I remember once when I was fasting years ago, and I was sitting it was summer, and I was empty of calories, and I was sitting in the shade of a tree, and I was told by guidance, whatever, put your hand out of the shade into the light. And as I did that, and it wasn't the light of the sun that I experienced, it was like individual lines of light from stars, from distant stars. And I felt them coming into my cell tissue. And it was like, oh, Jesus Christ, because they felt almost like, well, direct input into the cells. And it was like, I'm in that instant, when you get an instant download of awareness, I knew that that's how we are meant to be sourced, that's how we are meant to be sustained, is by light, and that we are moving in that direction, and yeah, that too is like an extraordinary, exciting thing, I think. And the energy work I'm doing at the moment, everybody seems to be coming into their central column. So the energy work is focusing here, much less in the chakra system, and just much more in that deep, deep core alignment where we are anchored deep in the earth, high in the heavens, and light streams through. And this, that to me too feels significant, because that's our core energy. And from there, light upwells through us rather than seeming to come in from the outside. It sort of upwells from the inside out. And that also is a lovely symbol of our changing relationship with this. We give up the idea that, oh, it's an outside job and somebody out there does it too. And we recognize, oh, we are the force of light, and it upwells
absolutely.
from deep within us. And that's how we actually transform. It's from the inside out. And I think that,
Yeah. And I think just understanding that we are really moving into self-sourcing, if we could just start really accepting that self-sourcing, it helps activate that knowing. I wake up in the mornings, I go and make a cup of tea, I get 2 or 3 sips, and it's like, I've got to get out of here. I've got to go walking. Like just getting out and walking and living and looking at the water and stuff like that it fills me up with light.
yeah.
It's probably only 6 months ago. I was like, oh, I should get out of bed and I should go for a walk. Yeah, I will go for a walk. No, maybe tomorrow. It's all changed. It's like I get out of bed and I'm trying to let myself have a cup of tea, and my body's wanting to run out the door with bed hair and everything, just to get out there and look at everything. So it's all happening organically as well, which is just wonderful.
And like much less effort, isn't it? It's much less having to push and use willpower because it's coming from the inside out in that sense, I
Yeah.
think. Ah,
Very exciting time. So you've got something on tomorrow, haven't you? Oh yeah, you're getting up in the middle of the night to do it.
yeah. Years ago, I was right when I first started doing teleconferences. So back in 2015, I was asked, will you do a teleconference at the time of the equinoxes and the solstices? And it was like, oh, really? It was that sort of thing. um, and when I thought about it, when I sat with the request, it seemed like, as soon as I allowed the request to really land in me, it was like a no-brainer. It was like, yeah, of course I will. And I love doing this. It doesn't matter to me whether I get up, but so for this one, I'll wake up, I'll set the alarm for 2:30 in the morning, and we start the teleconference at 10 to 3, and I'll roll back into bed by 3:45 probably, and fall asleep again. And then, but it's a lovely, lovely feeling. And the great thing is, it's always perfectly timed for somebody. So for the Americans, for my American audience, that's great timing because it's 10 o'clock East Coast
Yeah.
and evening on the West Coast. It's not great for the Europeans and the and the British and stuff. How is it for you then? It's
I would imagine it would be lunchtime for us. It would be very exciting because I might be able to
lunchtime and
attend one.
afternoon. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So you're 10 hours behind us, I think.
yeah, so if it's 3:30 in the morning, it'll be 10 hours later on the 22nd for you. So 1:30, 1:30 in the
Yeah.
afternoon.
Perfect. I'll be there. I will be there.
Great. And
Oh, unless I'm sleeping, because I'm getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning, so I can do that. So I'm probably going to roll back into bed afterwards too. If my body doesn't demand I get down to the beach, I'll
well, it would be lovely to have you on the teleconference, but whatever. I mean, we're all
I'll be there.
joined in unity, isn't it? In a sense, and I love this thing of that our ancestors used to create temples where we would gather and hold these frequencies, and now we create etheric temples in the atmosphere with people gathered from all over the world, and we build energy fields that are temples that hold and amplify the energy. And that, again, that was one of those things where when I first started to see that, I thought, oh, that's nonsense, that's not really. And then it's like, no, that really is happening. We really are building
Absolutely.
temples.
We
And
do that in the groups.
yeah,
You ask everyone in the group to send light filaments in and create a healing, building or a structure of alchemy, a building of alchemy or whatever. We build them and then we go in and we have incredible experiences. So
and
we
this is
are
the
so
learning to manifest, isn't
fun.
it?
Yeah,
So we learn to
absolutely.
build those structures in that way, just practicing, not even thinking that with this is a training process, but it's a training.
Yeah,
um,
it is.
yeah. So yes,
Yeah.
I'll be offering a teleconference which starts at 10 to 2 in the morning, no, 10 to 3 in the morning of tomorrow morning, Friday the 22nd here in the UK, and it's the evening of the 21st in the States. And that will last maybe an hour, 50 minutes to an hour sort of thing. And usually, I chat a bit and we work with the energies and stuff. And then over because there's always a precise moment of the solstice. I never know who works that out. I wonder who does that. But I guess it's the point where the sun is at its, it's the earth actually. The sun is just there, but it's the earth that is moving, is tilting and rotating and stuff. So it's the point where the southern hemisphere, your hemisphere, is tilted most towards the sun. And there the earth sort of holds her breath for 3 days and then begins the slow tilt back. So each day then the night, your nights will start to get a bit longer, an hour, and the reverse for us in the Northern Hemisphere. And I think, I mean, I wonder, do the solstices, because for me, the winter solstice, the December solstice in the Northern Hemisphere always feels like the most powerful. Is there one that, you know, that feels that way for you? Because for you, this is the summer solstice, huh?
Yeah, it is. No, I mean, all of it is just getting more and more powerful because I think we created them to set them up as little, breadcrumbs for us. All of it, and the more of the collective that are remembering it, the more energy is going to the
Yeah,
solstices rather than chocolate biscuits
yeah,
those other morphic fields that, where we were being robbed of our energy was going into governments or cigarettes or alcohol or anything like that. As we're pulling away from that, we're actually choosing where our energy will go into. So we created all of these, the dates, the solstices. I mean, all of it is our creation. So
yeah,
you've got all these people around the planet putting more and more energy into this. The power of them is building.
yeah.
Not
And
to
I
say
think
the power wasn't the, for the collective, it's building.
it really,
Where and
and we're receiving that energy, because I think there is something. The solstices and equinoxes are really about the Earth's relationship with the sun, and this beautifully harmonized balance, which of course is deeply symbolic of our relationship with light, in effect, you know, with whatever. But I mean, the perfect way that the Earth tilts and rotates, and we get the seasons, and I mean, it's so beautiful when you start to explore those relationships. And I've only looked at it a tiny, tiny little bit, but it is a perfect expression of harmony. In
and it's also a perfect expression of being in the womb.
Yeah,
It's like, the mother supplies the air, the food, the nutrients, the breath, the life, everything in itself. I mean, Earth is that itself.
yeah. It's,
It's
I mean, it is
incredible.
literally as above, so below, isn't it? So I always was aware, even as a child, that the images I would see of electrons and molecules and atoms and all of that was just the same. If you look deep inside, it's just the same. If you look far outside, it's the same patterns, and just on different scales. And now my teaching of the past year has really been that there is no separation between the inner and the outer. The inner and outer are one and the same thing. And I think we're collectively coming to that recognition, in a sense, in our own way. But it's I love this because a few years ago I wasn't seeing this at all, and I wasn't feeling the cohesion of the collective, and now I'm feeling the collective as a much more cohesive force. And I think this solstice sort of is the point where the balance gets tipped. And I don't really know what that means, but I think it's like it is a bridging point. It's the point where we cross over. It becomes free, shifts from 49% to 51%, and it's like woof,
Yeah.
and there, and that, and it's very much. I think it moves us collectively into the field of the heart in a much stronger way, and that, as more and more of us anchor in the field of the heart, that creates a weight to that field, which automatically pulls more people in, if you like. There's a
Absolutely. We are the field, we are the frequency, and the more of us that are hitting that 151% mark, it's no longer up in heaven. We've anchored it and we've embodied it into the collective. It becomes the greater power, the greater coding for humanity itself. It's us. We're doing it. We're the beacons of light all around the planet, creating this incredible shift.
Yeah, how beautiful.
Mm.
Are you? I'm wondering what you're waving your wand around there for.
A little bit cold in
Oh,
here,
right.
and the air conditioner's around the corner from a cupboard, and I'm trying to stretch it to turn it off. It's not quite working. So there's a bit in
I
that
I
little
thought you
bit
were
fresh.
looking for internet or something. So I'm feeling that we're just about done. Yeah.
Yeah, I do too. I feel very much that, yeah,
And
we're good.
maybe
We're
we
done.
can do a quick catch up on the other side of the solstice, perhaps, maybe,
Absolutely.
and see if we can go live then, and instead of, but I'll, this will go up on Facebook very soon. So hopefully people will be interested enough to catch it. It's, as always, a joy and a pleasure to connect with you and talk with you. So thank you and lots of love.
Lovely,
And
lovely.
talk to you soon, huh?
Will do.
Lots of love. Take care.
Okay, bye.